I'm coming to you live today from the Biblical Lifestyle Center in Texarkana, Texas, USA. It's a beautiful Sabbath morning here. So thank you for letting me come into your home, your computer screen, your car, your smartphone, wherever it may be. Thank you for sharing this precious time of Sabbath with me. We'll be together if you'll permit for about 45 minutes, and then we'll let you do your Sabbath the way in which the Creator calls you to do. But let's talk. I want to talk about some beautiful things. I want to talk about our Torah portion. I want to talk about the seasons that we're in. We are changing seasons in the realm of spirit. And the spiritual season we have been in was traditionally known as Ayaka, lamentation. Oh, how did we get to this stage? How did this happen to us? How did the law of sowing and reaping hit us so hard? And now we see what we've sown because of what we've been reaping. We go through the season of the year, in the heat of the summer in the northern hemisphere, in the cold of the winter in the southern hemisphere. We deal with these extremes, extremes of weather, extremes of tension, extremes of political uh, rhetoric, extremes of racial tension, extremes of class bias, extremes of all sorts of negativity and especially emotions. And so we've been in this season for several weeks now of Eka, of lamentation, of how did it get this far? How did it get this bad? What on earth did we think when we were sowing seeds of dissension, sowing seeds of anger, sowing seeds of jealousy, sowing seeds of envy, sowing seeds of bias, sowing seeds of cruelty, of mockery, of the blasphemy, of the things that we sowed? Why did we not think that there would be consequences? Why did we not think about what was going to result from these negative things as they grew and as they sprouted and as they began to bear leaf and fruit and extend their vine, extend their limb, extend their branch into all areas of life? What were we thinking? And is there any way to fix this? And that's when we said that was the season that has been. We crossed over that season on Wednesday evening, Thursday of this week. That was the night of Av, and we came to our senses, we came to our realizations that it's not over yet. And so now we have a 7-week period in the spirit of the Holy One. And under his calendar, and his 7-week period is the 7 weeks of consolation. We go from Eka, being the essence of our season, to Nacham, or Nachamu, comfort him, console him or her, console, 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 reassure, re-encourage, reinvigorate, refresh, renew. This is the season that we're in. So, beloved, drink it in. As this first Sabbath, first of the 7 of the Sabbaths of consolation that lead us all the way up to Rosh Hashanah, to the beginning of the dawning of the new creation year. I know many of you who have been following the Torah understand that the biblical year for the nation of Israel begins in the spring in Nisan Aviv. But there was a year in existence before Israel came to be a nation. And that year that was in existence was based not upon Nisan Aviv, whenever the crops began to grow, but was based upon fall, the autumn, the times of September, October, the times when that was the creation year, the way the earth was created. We had to have a creation year when the earth was tilled and ground before the crop could come forward in the spring. And now, as the beginnings of the crops, the beginnings of the harvest are exhibited through the birthing of the nation of Israel, so it is. We have our own year. But creation has a year that begins when it was created, and that was back in the times of September, October, the time that we call our time of Rosh Hashanah, or our time of Yom Teruah, the day of blowing and breathing. So we're here in the season of Nachamu, and let's talk a little bit about the season. Let's talk about the Torah portion, and let's enjoy this Sabbath together. Portion number 45 is our address. Va et Kanan. It's 3 kind of syllable or 4 syllables, 3 basic words, Va'et Kanan. It's said all together, Va'et Kanan. And the idea here is it's upon, unto the grace, unto the favor, unto the goodwill I came. That is Moshe's cry. That is the story with which this parsha begins. It is the story, this little few verses of a story that Moshe tells, of a parable that he gives, a real life parable that he gives to us. This is going to be the seed out of which everything else he's going to teach us about the coming kingdom is going to grow. If you do not understand, if you don't grasp the significance and the power of the parable, of the story he's about to tell about his little interaction with the grace of the Holy One, then you won't make sense of the rest of the book of Deuteronomy or the Torah or any scripture for that matter. You will think it's based upon something you tend to think of as law, something that is this cruel taskmaster wants you to do stuff. And if you don't do it, you're going to get it. That's the kind of mindset you'll have if you don't understand this parable. This is the central parable of the book of Deuteronomy. It teaches us how to approach the creator of the universe, what to think of him, and what to understand that he thinks about you. I call this parsha by the subtitle, The Tension Between the Divine Romance and the End Game. I'm going to repeat that for you because it contains some phrases and terms that we're going to need to define. It's going to be very important to understand that there's always a tension between two things: the divine romance, and we'll talk about what that means. The romance, the interactions, the interplay that we individually and corporately have with the Creator, and the end game, his grand plan, and how it wraps itself up, has grand plan for the redemption of mankind as a species, bloodline by bloodline, household by household, family by family, individual by individual, as many as will come, this grand plan and the grand plan that comes with it, which is to restore all of creation, hillside, valley, continent by continent, inch by inch of this terra firma of this earth and of all creation to its original Edenic state of beauty, fruitfulness, shalom, and harmonious interaction of species and ecosystems. That's the essence. There's a tension between the divine romance and the interplay of God and man, and the end game, which is the ultimate plan the Creator had when he began this whole process of creation. The window of Torah that we will be looking into will begin with Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 23, and it will continue for several chapters through chapter 7, verse 11. So 3:23 through 7:11, pull out your scrolls or your Bibles, and if you can, find that and just kind of let your fingers rest upon it for a few seconds and begin to understand and absorb. There is truth, there is wisdom, there is goodness, there is greatness coming out of those pages for you as we discuss the tension between the divine romance and the end game. This is the season, as we said, of Eka changing over to the season of Nachambu. We are in the book, the Sefer, the part of Torah called Devarim, or English Bibles love to call it Deuteronomy. But this book, whatever you want to call it, Devarim or Deuteronomy or any of the other names that you want to throw, Mishnah Torah, the second giving of the Torah, this inspiring book, this is a legacy book for Moshe. He's got 36 days left to live. He knows that. 5 weeks, 1 day, that's all the time he has to impact Bnei Israel, who he's been leading for 40 years. At least this is the children of the ones he started leading. And for that matter, to make an impact upon the world, the impact the Creator designed him to leave upon the world. Well, he's going to leave a great impact. This book that we read is his magnum opus work, his masterpiece work, the one that changes the world. If you could imagine the impact that this book that Moshe is writing upon the world over the next centuries, millennia, all the way to the end of days. If you could picture that, understand how important this book is and how critical it is that he write these things. And what is his purpose? What is the purpose of this magnum opus? As we talk about the tension between the divine romance and the end game, there's a purpose. He's going to tell us this week that his purpose in writing this book is that it may be tov with you, maybe good with you, maybe well with you, some translations say, but tov is the word. Tov is this picture of this fountain springing up in the wilderness, in a garden, fountain that waters everything, that makes everything grow and nurture and be nourished and thrive. That it may be tov with you, that you may thrive. There may be life forces flowing all around you, that there may be things that flourish, people that flourish, that everything around you may flourish. That it may be tov with you and with your children and your seed forever, that those who come after you. That's his purpose. You understand, this book is so that it may be tov with us, that life may be tov with us, that we find the proper place within this tension between the divine romance on the one hand and the end game of the Creator on the other hand. That may be tov with us and with our seed, our children, our children's children after us. That's a beautiful thing, right? And now here we are. The key word for this season that we're just beginning, last one was Aika. This season is Nachamu. Nachamu. And it, of course, comes from Isaiah 40. The book, the wallpaper book that we've been reading has been the book Lamentations by Jeremiah. Beginning now, we change our focus to what's sometimes called Deutero Isaiah, or the second part of the book of Yeshayahu the prophet, beginning with chapter 40. Well, where the first word is Nachamu, the first word of the entire last 46 chapters. Is that right? I know, 26 chapters. 26 chapters of the book is entitled, and it begins Nachamu, Nachamu. I mean, comfort or console, or calm, or refresh, or encourage, or set up right, or give hope to, and give a better vision of the future for my people. Comfort, comfort my people. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, my people. Nachamu is a form of the verb nacham, nun, chet, and mem sofit. Nun, chet, and mem sofit, if you want to write it in the Hebrew. A form of that verb. The first use of that verb is actually a very interesting one. It comes from when Noah was born. His father named him Noah, but the name, the verb that he took it from, is actually in a play on words on nacham. And what he said was, he shall give us nacham. He shall nakam us. Noah will nakam the world from all of its trials and its tribulations and all of its stresses and all of its hard labor by virtue of the ground's curse. Nakamu, comfort, console, soothe, refresh, encourage, set up right, and give hope to, and give a better vision for the future. And what it really means, what nakamu or what nakam really mean, is to feel or show spousal or parental empathy. To feel or to show spousal or parental empathy. We need to know someone cares, and someone feels what we feel. As you recall, in the early parts of the book of Shemot, or Exodus as it's known in the Western world, the Holy One visited, and in the Torah, it says that he saw the pain, the suffering of Bnei Israel in captivity, and he began to be disturbed, to feel this nachaming, desire to comfort, to soothe, to calm, to refresh, to encourage, to set up right, and give hope and a vision for a better future to his people. Well, after the trauma of this summer or the winter, as depending on which hemisphere you're in, after the trauma of the politics and the trauma of the ideologies, the trauma of the weather that we've experienced, the weather extremes we've experienced, so the trauma of the hurts, the personal conflicts that have grown crazy, the addictions that have gone wild, the sowing of the seeds that has come back to with a horrible harvest. After all this trauma, the word is Nachamu. Nachamu, comfort my people. So are you ready to be comforted, consoled, soothed, refreshed, encouraged, set back upright, put back in the race, given hope and a bit of vision for a better future? Well, before we can do that, Moshe knows he has to re-establish an appropriate God paradigm. A God paradigm is how you think God looks at and feels and relates to you, and how you look at and feel about and relate to the Creator, the Holy One. So what is your God paradigm? before we get too deep into this whole first parable I told you about, the story that I'm going to tell you about Va'et Hanan, about how I came unto grace or unto favor or unto this goodwill. I came at its appointed time. It's what it says. Et hahi, Va'et hahi, and Ba'et hahi, and in its appointed time, I came to the throne of grace, the throne of favor, the throne of mercy. Now this is a God paradigm. Moshe is teaching us a God paradigm in the first few words of the parsha, and this is going to be a God paradigm that has to transcend everything we do and think and say, because how we look at the creative universe will determine how well we respond to His words, His instructions, His methodologies, His disciplines, His program, His will, His plan. If we do not see Him through eyes of Va'et Hanan, of the place, the throne of mercy and grace and favor and goodwill, then we will not respond well. We will react badly. We will be reluctant. We will be resistant. We will be, in some ways, resentful of Him. So how do you look at the Creator of the universe, and how do you think He looks and feels about you, looks at and feels about you? Do you think of the Holy One kind of like an umpire or a referee in a sports contest? And your life is the sports contest, and He's looking for a violation to call. He's looking for some reason to blow His whistle, to point at you, call out your name or your number, send you to a penalty box, or give you a red card, or eject you from the game. You feel like you're just on pins and needles, waiting for the shoe to drop. Do you think He's just an umpire or a referee that is waiting to zap you or send you to the showers too early because you've done something wrong, or in His perspective, you've not lived up to your potential? Is that how you see Him? Because if you do, it's going to be a difficult time. The rest of the book is going to be really hard, because He's going to challenge us as a lover challenges a lover. So the second possibility is, do you see the Holy One? Do you think He sees you through the eyes of a boss, a taskmaster, a slave driver, demanding production? You want something, you better perform, you better produce. We want to check the bottom line on you. We'll see how your bottom line turns out. See if you're a net value, an asset, or a net liability. Is that how you look at Him? Is he a boss, taskmaster, or the auditor coming to check it up on you? Is that how you look at Him? Do you think He looks at you that way? Do you think He looks at your life that way? Do you think of Him like a landlord or a creditor who is demanding an overdue rent or payment from you? Some of you just don't have the money right now to spare, and He's wanting something from you you can't give. Is that how you look at Him? Do you think He looks at you as if you're a deadbeat that's not providing what you're supposed to produce or provide? Well, that's another dangerous paradigm of God. I'm going to give you one more, because we could talk all day about different paradigms. But I'm going to give you the one that Moshe wants to give you. The one that the Master, Yeshua of Nazareth, our rabbi, picked up on and carried. And that is that the God paradigm that we should have is the Va'et Hanan, unto grace, favor, and goodwill we came. That's the paradigm that says God is the Holy One, the Creator of the universe, is a dedicated parent, like a father, watching over His beloved child's development with enthusiasm, with delight and empathy, and with an agenda and a plan as to how to make that child's life, the best possible life. Now, understand the father paradigm, the loving father paradigm, the wise father paradigm, the dedicated parent overwatching paradigm. Now understand, this is the testimony of the Ruach, according to Romans 8:16. The Spirit bears witness within our spirit, saying, Abba, Father, you are our dedicated parent. You are watching over us like a beloved child would be watched over by his father. You're seeking our development and our maturation and our, we could say, perfection, but at least it's increase in joy and hope and life and an impact with enthusiasm, with delight, and with empathy, and with a plan. Okay, that's the question. What is your paradigm of God? Because that will determine, are you ready? Do you receive His love? Do you receive his favor? Do you receive his grace? Or are you still judging yourself and judging others on the basis of the fact that you don't quite live up to the expectations yet? I want to get into the essential challenge of the season, and that will be to learn the love language of the spiritual realm. The Holy One has, I know this has been a popular term used by like Gary Smalley or somebody wrote the book. I don't want to take his money, but the word love language has been used many times in many places in many ways long before that was reduced to a book. I didn't write the book, obviously, and so I don't claim any rights to it. The term, though, is an ancient term of use. It's love language. What is your love language? Well, the creator of the universe is engaged with you in a divine romance. He is parrying, he is pursuing you. He is seeking you. He is seeking to get to your heart. He knows you have a free will. He knows you have internal triggers of pain, woundedness. Some come from your own life experiences. Some come from your bloodline and your predecessors' life experiences. He knows that there are obstacles he needs to navigate around to be able to have this romance with you. I'm not talking about something tawdry or seedy or emotional or sexual or sensual. I'm talking about the relationship he desires to develop. And so his love language, what he will provide to you, will be overwatch and protection, fatherly affection, provision, guidance, direction, mentorship, teaching, sharing his home with you, his realm with you, giving you a garden to tend, to serve, to abide, and to keep, shamar, to treasure, to cherish, and therefore to watch over all the time. This is his love language: overwatch, protection, provision, guidance, direction, mentorship, teaching, sharing his home, his realm with you, a garden to tend and keep, and shamar. This is the love language that he expresses his love to you through that. He's like a father of the household, the head of the household. He understands that there's certain love language he needs from us that relate to the love language he uses toward us. For everything that he gives, there is a corresponding love language that is necessary for us, from us. And the first one is tefillah in Hebrew. It's a Hebrew word that often translated prayer, but it means it's prayer on steroids. Spiritually, it is so far above the prayer the nations or the religions of this world know. It is a level of honest, open communication that includes both give, which we have words to say, and take, which means we receive the words that are given back. That's the difference. That's the plus in the prayer plus. That's what's in addition to what the world has. We have this communication back, and that's the main focus of our tefillah, is the communication we receive back, not just the communication we give. We have open communication. We talk. We say our statements. We make our declarations and comments. We present our petitions, but it's really about the communication we receive back. So that's tefillah, the first love language. This is an essential love language. That's what's going to be modeled for us in the first few verses of Et Hanan. Moshe is going to give you, in a parable form, of his own love, a private tefillah discipline. He's going to show you what open, honest communication with the Creator is about, and why tefillah is not about getting your demands met or getting your wishes granted. What tefillah is about is realigning with the will of the covenant partner, the one who has shown you overwatch, protection, provision, guidance, direction, mentorship, teaching, who has shared his home with you, his realm with you, his garden to tend and keep. Now, tefillah is step one in the love language for the beloved in this relationship of divine romance. The second is related to the first, because when the open communication begins to come back from the Creator, what we have is a shemaing, and the shemaing, the stronger partner's voice, tone, and words. Shemaing becomes a key factor. So this is the parsha in which the Holy One will have Moshe give us the words, give us the declarations, give us the pattern to be able to start our days, beginning at sundown, and then on the mornings to also begin when the daylight hours begin with the Shema, this declaration. So we find it Shema Yisrael, and then we go on and on and on. So this is the issue. Tefillah, open communication, receiving from the Holy One, then shemaing it. That means to coming into alignment with it. It means not just to hear it and then process whether we want to do it or not. No, to come into alignment with it, with the voice, with the tone, with the words, with the instructions, and come together, a joinder with the Holy One through shemaing. The third of the love language elements of the beloved that the Creator looks for and tries to build within us is a shared perspective with Him, shared priorities with Him, shared agenda with Him, and shared approaches to life's problems, situations, and opportunities with Him. Not doing things our way, not doing things the way of an independent actor, but joyfully, voluntarily taking on His perspective, His priorities, His agenda, His approaches, and His means of dealing with opportunities and obstacles in this world. And that includes our view of and purpose of life itself. Why are we here? Let Him decide that. Let Him define that. Let Him tell us what that is, and then act as if that was the truth. The second thing is our view of our own self. How do we see ourselves? Where do we see us fitting into the grand plan and the picture? What is our role? What is our value? Why are we made unique and no one else is made like us? What unique contribution to the blessing of the world and the redemptive plan and the restorative plan for creation are we designed to play? The next is how we view the other people of the world, everyone around us, the people that irritate us, the people that attract us, the people that make us laugh, the people that make us cry, the widow, the fatherless, the poor, the foreigner, the servant, the enemy, the stranger. How do we feel about that? Will we let our emotions and our flesh and our culture and our ethnicity define how we feel about other people in this world that we interact with? Will we classify them, categorize them, and label them, and then write them off based on the categorize our flesh or our pseudo-intellect or our ethnicity or our culture or our class tells us we should do, or will we let Him redefine our view of other people and our interactions and approaches to other people? That's the key of the love language. The fourth is the key of how we will view the material and philosophical world. The material world, first, how will we deal with stuff, with wealth, with money? Will we let the fleshly greed and avarice and jealousy and envy work in us? Then there's the philosophical world. Will we get all up in ivory towers and all about opinions and beliefs and theories, or will we get into issues that have no real relevance to our purpose and mission on the earth? This is our view of material. Will we let Him define how we should relate to the material world, how we should relate to the philosophical world around us? Finally, the love language depends upon our commitment to exclusivity. Our commitment to exclusivity. We must learn that He is our only one. And so there is no other. And there is no other. He is all. He is about everything. Everything in life is about Him, for Him, unto Him. In Him we live and move and have our being. This idea of a commitment to exclusivity, that is a love language of the beloved that He looks for. And it helps us develop devakut, which is the idea of binding together with Him, becoming one, because this is the love language of the divine romance. The human being, the problem is, of course, the human being and the Holy One tend to operate on different and often discordant frequencies and rhythms. As we have different thoughts, different levels of thought. We're mortal, we are sensual, we are sentimental. He is brilliant, He is eternal. He sees things from the end to the beginning. He sees things through a lens, an agenda, a purpose, a plan, and we just see things developing haphazardly around us. We have different perspectives. We have different visions. We have different goals. We have objectives. We have different dreams and priorities. That's why the human being and the creative universe need this divine romance. The divine romance must be worked where our free will and our differences are navigated successfully through a process of courtship, of interaction, of give and take, and these love languages begin to operate. Well, Moshe has finally, at the age of 120 years, on the plains of Moab, overlooking the Jordan, realizing he has 36 days to live, Moshe has finally learned the lessons that we need to know. If we knew what he knew about tuning into and resonating with the Holy One's frequency and pulsing with the Holy One's rhythm and energy, vision, if we knew what he knew about interacting with the Creator of the universe, of having direct, honest, open communication with him and receiving back from him his holy things, his beautiful things, his beauty realm things, then we would just take it, but we don't. So he has to teach us. That's what the book of Deuteronomy is about. Him teaching us the ways that he's learned over 120 years. He wants to teach us in a few chapters all the ways in which he's learned to communicate and deal with and draw energy from the Holy One. See, that Moshe wants nothing more than what the Holy One wants for us. He wants to help us learn the secrets of life, of health, of peace, and of impact upon the world that it took Moshe 120 years to learn. He wants us to do that in a much shorter time. Now, the tension, we said the subtitle of this discussion or this shiur is the tension between the divine romance and the end game. Let's define the essential terms a little clearer. The divine romance. I want to let you write a note down if you have your pencil or your pen, or you can type out on your computer. Put Deuteronomy 6:5 and then Deuteronomy 7:7-8. I'm not going to read those passages for you right now. You've got time in this spot to be able to go back and look at those. But we're going to define the divine romance. Define divine romance in a way. And I want to point you to, for instance, also the Song of Solomon, the Song of Songs. This is the individual and the corporate all thrown into one, the idea of how the Holy One goes through these protocols of divine romancing of the human being and vice versa, how we navigate the challenges, the differences of perspective, the different goals and objectives, and we navigate through that to find the sweet spot of interaction, communication, and cooperation with the Holy One. I want to also point you to Song of Jerusalem, which is Ezekiel 16, 1 and following. You can read that at your leisure. There are other passages I could use, the book of Hosea. But the idea is that the Holy One knows before he gets into this that we have severe obstacles to overcome if we're going to have a co-laboring, collaboration, co-regency in this world. If the grand plan the grand mystery that's going to shock the principalities and powers of this world, because man has overcome his sense of independence and free will and his sense of superiority and has become humble and has become the lover and the co-laborer and the co-regent of the Creator of the universe. Well, this divine romance is a love story. It would be no love story if he was like a caveman. He came and conquered us, just gave us no ability to resist. It's not some sort of an abduction. This is not Shechem dealing with Dinah. The Holy One wants to capture our hearts and our imaginations and our affections by earning them, by being our overwatch, being our protector, our provider, doing the things that his love language calls for. Guidance, direction, teaching, and to catch us up with something equivalent to the hormone bath that you get when people fall in love in the natural world. It's not that kind of tawdry thing or simple thing or fleshly thing, but yet there's something like dopamine that begins to come in and awaken the neshama in us, the eternal, that ties us back to our purpose, to that moment when the Holy One breathed his life, breath of life into Adam, and he became a living soul, more than just an animal, more than just a biological being. No, the very the very co-laborer, co-regent of the created universe. So the love story, this mysterious courtship dance between the creator of the universe and mankind, this divine romance, involves God navigating man's fallen state, your fallen state, your hair triggers of emotion, your hair triggers of reaction, of rejection, of revulsion, of attraction, all your hair, navigating around all your hair triggers and beginning to comfort you, console you, re-establish you, redraw you, redesign you in the way you were originally planned to be. To navigate also, the Holy One has to navigate for this divine romance your free will. He doesn't take it away. He draws himself into it where you voluntarily, joyfully, in great delight, choose him. That's kind of like this dopamine thing. I choose you. O Holy One, I choose you. I come in the volume of the book, O Holy One, to do your will. I delight to do your will. You understand? Not your will be, but mine. Not my will, but yours, rather. Not my will, but yours be done. This like a dopamine rush where we say yes, yes, yes. And at Sinai, it was Na'aseh v'nishma. We will shema. We will aseh. We will do what you said, and we will shema you always. Well, that navigation of the free will of man, not by uh, anything improper, but by something very beautiful, that he is worthy of it all. And so his divine romance is on three levels at all times. The divine romance is with you individually, each human being individually. He is romancing you. He is trying to work through your fallen state issues, your free will issues, your hair trigger issues, and develop a relationship with you. That is a give and take. That is a co-laborer, co-regent relationship. And also, not just you individually, it's also the seed of Abraham collectively. The seed of Abraham. All the seed of Abraham. It's not happening just with you. He's doing this with multiple, thousands of people at the same time. He's working bloodlines together. He's navigating this divine romance through the bloodlines. And so it's happening. You're not the only one it's happening to. And each one is on an individual track. And then finally, the third level at which he's always romancing humanity is the seed of Noah, collectively, or the seed of Adam, all human beings, all races, all ethnicities, all nationalities, all cultures. He is seeking man. Now, he does it specifically in a specific way for a specific purpose for the seed of Abraham. He's doing it uniquely within that realm to you, but all these levels are happening at the same time. Divine romance. He knows what he's doing. It's sometimes over our head, over our imagination. But there are 12 stages, he knows, the 12 stages of this divine romance, that you're somewhere in this, and sometimes you're back and forth between different sections. But I want to give you these 12 stages and let you try to identify where you are, where this one who is pursuing you, this God, this creator, your father figure, who wishes only the best for you and is looking at you with delight and rejoicing over the potential in you. These are the 12 stages that you may find yourself in. The first one is just awareness. Awareness that someone's out there. Someone's interested in you, paying attention to you. Someone is courting you in a strange way, watching you from afar. That's the first level of awareness. This is called the fear of the Lord, the fear of the Holy One. This is the beginning of wisdom, as it said. The second stage, after the beginning of general awareness and interest and pursuit by someone out there who is the father figure. The next thing is a sense of attraction and longing. Are you beginning to be attracted to him? Do his words seem to interest you? Do the holy things, the things that attach to him or pertain to him, draw your attention? Are you longing to get to know him better, to develop this relationship with him? Well, that's the second stage. And the third stage, it's a beautiful stage of introduction and encounter. When you have the first meeting, the first time your eyes meet, the first time the voices. You actually physically hear his voice. You sense his presence. You sense his goodwill towards you. It's face to face. It's real. It's now you've had an encounter with him. You've met him. He touched you, and you touched him. And then there's the fourth phase. We've got 12, right? The fourth phase is when you realize he's investing in you. He's investing time in you. He's investing kingdom resources in you. He's investing uh, all sorts of gifts and talents in you. He's investing in you. He sees you as valuable, worthy of an investment. And then the fifth stage is when he begins to, you begin to reprioritize because based upon this relationship. This relationship becomes important enough to you that you reprioritize. You change your ideas on what's important and what your first goals and agenda are. You may change the way you talk. You may change the way you look at food or drink. You begin to reprioritize. Now, what's more important is that you pursue this relationship than it is that you keep doing what you were doing before. And then there's a phase, the sixth phase. I call it the history development. Relational history development. You begin to develop a relational history. You've done things together. You've seen things now that you didn't see before that are shared. You see it from his perspective, and you share your perspective with him. This history, and then it goes with trust building. Relational history building, trust building is the sixth phase. And the seventh phase is when there's this beautiful moment of commitment, a sense of yes, a sense of ken. I assure you, I am in this. I commit myself to you. I don't know what that means yet in its fullness, but you're good, and I trust you're good, and I really want to fulfill this, follow this commitment to its ultimate level. Help me in that. It's the ever-seen commitment. And then there's as that processes through its stages, the eighth stage of divine romance is Nisuin bonding. It means when we're now becoming committed to one another permanently. Not just I've shown this interest and I want this. Now I am committed to be in this late life with you, to walk with you through life, to be your co-regent, your co-laborer, your not just your benefactor, your mentee. Now I'm in this with you. I'm a co-laborer with you. The ninth phase is the beginning of union, when we begin to think like he thinks. We begin to speak with his tone of voice as well as his vocabulary, as opposed to using the vocabulary of the world or our culture or our nation. We begin to speak in his vernacular. We begin to think like him, to feel, to see, perceive like him. It's devaku, this bonding becomes practical and real. And then we see ourselves, the 10th stage is co-laboring. We are working together. We're not doing our own thing, hoping he blesses it. We are doing his thing. We're with him. We're joining in him. And the 11th thing is co-regency. The 11th phase of divine romance is when he can trust us to administer realms, to speak into spheres of influence, to be a representative or the queen, so to speak, of a kingdom. The queen represents the heart of the king, represents and is an administrator, a ambassador of the king. Well, that's co-regency. And then 12 is co-parenting, whenever we begin to raise up others to do the same thing. Let's go through these 12 stages of divine romance. Oh, this is the divine romance. I hope you're somewhere in those stages. I hope you're feeling maybe several of the phases are pulling at you. Awareness, interest, and pursuit, attraction, longing, introduction, encounter, face-to-face, words are heard, touch, and realization of how much he's investing in you and why. Reprioritization based upon the relationship. Relational history building, trust building, commitment to go further with this relationship, then commitment to finally to say, this is, I'm all in. I'm not going to leave. I'm yours. I'm exclusive. Devaku, beginning to come together in thought and approach and attitude, co-laboring, doing things together his way, co-regency, taking responsibility to represent him in spheres of influence and co-parenting, raising up others to be fulfilled. Now, these are the things of divine romance. Let's talk about the end game, because we say that this whole parsha is about the tension between the divine romance and the end game. You see,
It's not just about life for the Holy One. It's not just about the divine romance. That is a major factor. But it all has to work toward the end game. End game is a term from chess and similar board games, checkers and things like that. It's a term that refers to the later stages of the game, the later part of the game. That's the stage when most of the pieces, preliminary pieces, have been removed from the board. One or more or both of the players are making bold moves designed to checkmate their opponents and claim a clear and decisive victory. That's the end game. Bold moves, looking for checkmate, ready for checkmate, clear and decisive victory. That's the end game. So everything that we're talking about divine romance is not just a sweet love story. It's a sweet love story with a purpose, with an end, with a goal. And the goal is the end game. What is the Holy One's end game? In a broader sense, end game means the final determinative stages of an action, an activity plan, a program, a strategy. It's at the point where the pace speeds up greatly and the true objective becomes clear and within reach and in play. The Holy One, you see, has an end game plan. It's bigger than just a relationship with you and me. That's a major part of it. It's bigger than a relationship with Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, although that's a critical part of it. It's bigger than his relationship with the various nations of the world, and the ethnicities and the cultures of the world, though those are all an essential part of it. The grand plan trumps the divine romance. It involves the divine romance. Without the divine romance, there would be no grand plan, because we would never see people voluntarily choose his will. Well, the end game of the Holy One is a foolproof strategy of how powerful his divine romancing is and how responsive the heart that he created in man, the neshama that he created in man, will ultimately be to his divine romancing. It's a foolproof strategy that will surprise and checkmate all who oppose him. As Shaul of Tarsus will say, this principalities and powers, confound the principalities and powers of this world, because you see what's going to happen will stun the world. This is the end game strategy. It's all, though, about having the right pieces in the right places at the right time. The right pieces in the right places at the right time. Divine romance fades into end game. We are here for a purpose. The kingdom end game and the role we are called to play in it is what the book of Deuteronomy will be all about. It starts with a God paradigm, understanding he is a God of grace, of mercy, of goodwill, of favor. Also understanding we don't control him. He's not a genie in a bottle. He is romancing us, but he is also working towards his end game. And the end game trumps the divine romance every time. It's a beautiful story. We will read for the next 7 weeks in the Haftarah, and the prophets will read 7 different passages from the latter part of Isaiah of Yeshayahu. These are the 7 consolation passages, and they lay out step upon step the end game plan. Both the divine romance aspect of it and then the final play, the final end play of the objective of it all will be there. If we don't know the 7 after it, we don't know the way this ends. We don't know the story. We are not confident. We are just dealing with struggles day by day. But if we know how this ends, we will indeed be comforted. We will indeed be consoled. We will indeed be refreshed. We will be calm. We will be at shalom. We will be at delight and joy. We will be encouraged. We will be on task, on time, on mission. We will have hope and a vision for the future. Oh, beloved, it's time for me to leave you. It's time for you to engage in your individual studies or your collective group studies of the Torah on this Shabbat. Blessings to you. Drop us a note if you would. Let us know you were here. If we can pray